I'm probably like the fourth, fifth person to talk about this today, but I have my own ideas about this theory that's been going on about a Dokkan Festival Shallot. So later tonight, we should actually see the Dokkan Festival reveal. So whoever it ends up being will know for sure because there is going to be a maintenance on the 28th later in the evening in terms of Pacific time. And then like leading into the 29th, there will be a data download. JP Dokkan will likely get a data download during this day as well. So we're all expecting the teaser and the actual details for the next Dokkan Fest character on the 28th. Then they'll drop on the 30th, right? Usually the Dokkan Fest in this time slot does drop on the 30th. And I was thinking it would be a character that wasn't really too exciting. Even if this ends up still being like a Tao Pai Pai or something. I hope that they do continue to do teasers like this for every future Dokkan Fest. But it does make sense that this hint would be for something that is more quote unquote exciting, right? I guess you could say generally hype across all Dragon Ball fans, most of them consuming Z or Super at this point, right? Now, this teaser was very confusing, and it still is. I think, even with the Shallot guess, it's not really concrete. People are thinking this could be Tao Pai Pai. People are bringing up the Tournament of Power. People are bringing up Dynamic Saga, where the ship was parked onto Roshi's Island. People are bringing up Sandland, Daima, like the pole in the ground. Like, I think there's just a lot of pieces that you could connect to this, but didn't really feel, I think, concrete, because it's like, if you really take this literally, like, this is sand, this is like a stick, it just doesn't really make sense, especially coming from like English speaking, or even if you're French speaking, like across the different communities, Spanish speaking, like it doesn't really make sense like what this was. But we go ahead and take a look at the JP kind of reply. So this is a JP player base, and it seems like this might actually be a pun based off of some spellings in Japanese, right? And if we go ahead and take a look here by Elikich right here, does basically confirm sand, shallot, rock, right? Now, to us, this makes no sense, right? From English speaking point of view, it's like, what does this even mean? Like, hello? But I should have brought up the actual reply here, and we should be able to find it. Here's some Genshin Impact stuff going on right here. For those of you overseas, sand could actually be run as sha in Japanese, and then the rod is called a shallot. It's also based on the hint image, even though the next one is a regular campaign. So again, they're saying the sand and the rod, it kind of spells out shallot, or is like not really a pun, but like you could read it out as shallot, which is very funny for me in two things. One, there's no way we could have guessed it. Like, there's only the GP players. If this is true, only the GP players would get this. And two, it means everyone was wrong, right? Which is also very funny to me. But I don't know. I feel like, hints are really cool, but they should realistically think about, like, a lot of the player base that doesn't speak Japanese, maybe, especially since this is also posted on the global account. But my thought process is, if this is Shallot, they probably just made it up and they're like, oh, well, we're gonna reveal it anyway, so does it really matter? It's probably their thought process. So I mean, it is what it is at this point. No, it's not really a big deal. Luckily, we are able to, again, view the Japanese player base as, like, replies and things like that. And it seems like a lot of people are, like, agreeing with this point. Wow, that's amazing. I would like that analysis. Makes me happy than a bad character. Like, some other people thought about this. Of course, along with this, we know that Dragon Ball Legends is actually doing a bunch of collaborations. I believe it would probably be in the news of like this site, but Legends is having like a bunch of different collabs with a bunch of different things, like Shallot's getting if I'm not mistaken, like a figure and things like that. So I don't know if I could even find this in here, but there's gonna be a lot of different kind kind of collab things going on. And I think, to be fair, a good chunk of them were revealed. I don't really play Legends. I made a video talking about the 7th anniversary a bit ago, and how it's like I was really interested in it, but I don't know, the characters unfortunately just didn't really rile me up. But I see a lot of people having fun, so who knows? Maybe I'll check people out still. Either way, having Shallot, like a Dokkan Legends collaboration, has been something that we've been talking about for a very, very long time, and something that people are very excited for, because Shallot, is interesting. He does a lot of different things in the Legends story mode, of course, so he could actually fit a lot of different interesting category teams. Shallot has a bunch of these transformations. Now, being completely fair, the one thing about Dokkan animations is that they're heavily based off of like the anime, right? Shallot doesn't like, I don't know like where exactly they'll draw from, because the only original thing Shallot actually has is he has his own ultimate, which again, you can choose which ultimate you want to use specifically, but the ultimate itself is the I spent so long, I even literally forgot the name. The wild cannon right here is his own special ultimate there, and things like that, right? He has like 2 special moves. You could incorporate the rising rush potentially. Like, you could literally give this character the same standby as the Super Saiyan Gohan from Worldwide last year, where he has to collect the Dragon Balls, and then upon collecting the Dragon Balls, he's actually able to do a rising rush. Literally could just use that same thing, and then the animation is just the rising rush itself. Could be interesting. But they could also go a route where this guy doesn't have necessarily the most premium animations, but they're very much based off of how Legends animations look. It'd be interesting to see how they incorporate like a 3D-ish aspect to that. Now, we kind of got something we could kind of base off of with Android 21, because the good Android 21, her animations actually are very much based off of like how it looks like in fighters, and I think they did a fantastic job with like translating like a 3D kind of look and feel to this. So imagine Shallot having this kind of feeling. Now the thing about 21 is that like their actual like animations I think in fighters, like compared to like Dokkan or Legends, where Shallot doesn't really get like a bunch of new cards all the time. Like, there's good animations in Legends, but there's not Shallot like out there with like ultra level animations, right? Though some of the blue cards and green cards, or not green cards, blue cards from other characters, this guy could actually borrow. Y'all, you see, if you're playing Legends and you're listening to me, you probably think I sound like a stupid, dumb idiot, and I'm so sorry. But Shallot is really, really cool. Now, I think there's a couple ways that they could take this guy. I mean, first and foremost, I did bring up this idea about him being a transforming character, like the transforming Goku and transforming Frieza. Now, the issue with these characters is that it's kind of like a little wonky with the link set, first and foremost, but also it's a thing where back then, you know, when these guys originally came out, you're able to like transform into blue, not too commonly, honestly. I feel like a lot of times you may have just ended up in Super Saiyan 3 or God. And then, you know, when they got their Extreme Z Awakening, I believe there was like a longer fight going on at that time. I mean, there was also a Legendary Goku event like around that like realm of time. But I mean, I think right now is probably one of the better time in Dokkan to have like a character that's like transforming for a while, because not only are some of the red zones super long, but some of the, you know, festival battles, like if this guy's like a stacking character, that could also be interesting. But especially the red zones, I think, would be where this kind of archetype of character would be really good. Now, I think that, of course, this was before active skills. Like, this character was introduced prior to the 4th anniversary, so it's a thing of active skills just was not a concept at that time. So maybe it could be a thing where my thought process was that like this guy could start in his base form, then transform through his different forms, but then after hitting God, like you can't go further unless you use an active skill to blue. But my idea is that this guy could just also have an active skill that makes him go straight to blue. So like, okay, if you're in a longer fight, you could just choose to transform, like a normal transformation character, just going through the motions right here, all the way to 2, 3, God. And then with that, this guy's stacking over and over. And then in Super Saiyan God, he continues to stack if you choose to stay with him. But then in short events or at the end of a super long fight, you will active skill into a Super Saiyan Blue transformation, and then he gets super powerful, kind of becomes like a really top tier character. I think that's how they can make an archetype of this character more modern compared to, oh, you're forced to transform and then you won't be able to stack anymore. You could argue that was another issue with a character like this. But also the Link set, I mean, this guy went from prepared for battle to over in a flash. So that was obviously an issue. And then, he changed to shocking speed and like lost shocking speed, I believe. Or he still kept it, my bad. It's just like this guy was kind of a little bit over the place with key links. Like this just make him have prepared for battle all the way through. I don't really think there's anything about that. Alternatively, you could also just have him like skip a lot of these Super Saiyan forms, because realistically, if Shallot doesn't really have many animations to pull from, maybe he's just gonna be base Shallot and then he transforms into Super Saiyan God or Super Saiyan Blue or something like that, right? Something like that can like potentially also work. But that was kind of my idea. Like, if they wanted to make a Shallot here and they wanted to represent like all his transformations in here, I think that would be a really good way to go about it. And again, I talked about this earlier, but Shallot is also on a lot of different category teams. I had Ziad actually bring this up. Of course, Ziad is someone who is playing like Legends consistently, and Ziad actually gone through the actual Legends story. I don't know why it says I'm not following Ziad right here, but there it is. Realm of Gods, Pure Saiyan, Transformation Boost, Time Travelers, Siblings Bond here, Bottom Master Disciple. Let's try to find some more relevant teams besides Pure Saiyan. I mean, imagine this guy as a Time Travelers leader. I mean, Time Travelers could potentially be interesting. Like, in fact, Bojack is on Time Travelers, funny enough. Like a Time Traveler Shallot leader. I mean, we got Bardock on here. We got the Cells on here. Some of the Daima characters are here. I mean, who would get an easy A? Like, we could take a look here at the, like, oldest characters without an update, potentially. And let's see, I mean, the Xenoverse characters. Maybe we can get a super easy A for, like, I don't know. Yeah, they're just super easy A Vegito Blue. Would that not be super funny? I mean, AGL Trunks? Trunks, is he not a part of the story mode? Like, obviously it's not the same Trunks, but what if they're like, yeah, Shallot, and then we actually just EZA this Trunks right here? That would be somewhat interesting, I guess, in that scenario. Maybe this is where they're like, yeah, we're actually gonna EZA the Heroes batch of characters right here, and this is gonna be just a crossover celebration. Maybe he's a crossovers leader, and then they do EZA like this batch of Heroes characters right now. I think that would be a really good situation. Super Saiyan 2 Trunks right here, maybe they could give him an awakening. Maybe get super EZAs potentially for the first, Heroes characters, which I wouldn't really count on that, unfortunately. But again, like, this next batch of Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker, Goku and Vegeta, right? Hearts, just like a bunch of these, like, crossover characters getting an EZA would be really, really, really cool. Again, like I said, Mira, things like that, right? It's gonna be really interesting. Master Evolution, Bond of Friendship, Power Beyond Super Saiyan, another good team. Right here, tournament participants, of course, because the whole like Legend story is like a big tournament thing going on. That maybe is, depending on if you have Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 2, Revenge maybe. We see Saviors, Miraculous Awakening, Powerful Comeback After Words, Time Limit, Special Pose, Ginyu Force, Battle Fuse Fighters. I mean, yeah, like if he fuses into Shallot right here, then this could be like a thing we see. If it's really just like Super Saiyan God kind of Shallot in here, then maybe instead we actually see him like in this fight against Giblet. Maybe they're on Battle Fate. That's possible. Special Pose, of course. Like, Shallot does a lot of different things. Heavenly Events here, he does actually fight on the Time Chamber. It seems like, okay, I don't even know what's even happening here. Also, my chair keeps squeaking. My bad, chat. I don't even know. Maybe it's time to get a new chair, dog. Okay, but I don't know. That's kind of all I wanted to talk about in terms of Shallot. Not really much else to say. I mean, it could just be like where these hero characters this year will get an Extreme Z Awakening. That could be really, really cool. But let me know what y'all think. Appreciate y'all for watching. Whether it's Shallot, Tao, or whoever it is, we'll find out tomorrow or tonight. Tonight/tomorrow, depending on your time zone. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.